There are individuals among us who do not quite fit the typical mold. Their thoughts wander into abstract realms, their solitude is chosen, and their values remain immovable in the face of conformity. These people are not superior, only different, and often even they do not fully recognize the uniqueness within. Today we speak not to inflate the ego, but to illuminate the characteristics of the rare personality, the type that walks the edges of both society and self, seeking a truth deeper than appearances. Here are 8 signs that may reveal such a personality. 1. You find depth more alluring than surface, even when it isolates you. In a world where small talk and surface impressions often dominate, you crave something more substantial. Conversations that drift into symbolism, archetypes, and unseen truths hold your attention like nothing else. You are often misunderstood, not because you are trying to be mysterious, but because your way of seeing reality is layered. You observe what is not spoken. You feel meaning in silence. You watch people's gestures, not just their words, and you question what drives their behavior. For you, the unseen world, the world of motives, dreams, shadows, and inner conflict, is the real world. You are not content merely knowing what someone does. You want to understand why. This can make casual interactions feel exhausting or meaningless. You may leave a gathering with questions others never considered. What was that person avoiding? Why did I feel tension under the smile? These intuitions, though subtle, guide you. You see the masks people wear, not to judge them, but because you are attuned to the deeper self hiding underneath. And in your own life, you do not chase pleasures or achievements for approval, but pursue meaning, however lonely or difficult that road may be. 2. You're not afraid of the dark, only of not understanding it. You have an unusual relationship with the shadow. Instead of fleeing from your fears, you study them. Pain does not repulse you, it invites you to listen. You are not afraid to look into your past and unearth what others have buried. While many prefer comfort, you seek clarity, even if it disturbs. This does not mean you are cold or emotionless, in fact, the opposite. But your emotions are not rulers, they are messengers. You ask yourself, why am I angry? What lies beneath this sadness? You do not villainize any feeling, instead, you try to integrate it. You believe growth lies in wholeness, not perfection. This often requires you to confront the disowned parts of yourself, the envy, the insecurity, the longing for power, the fear of inadequacy. Most people distract themselves when these feelings arise, but you sit with them, you listen, you allow them to speak, and through this, you gain insight not just into yourself, but into the suffering of others. It is precisely because you have walked into your own darkness that you can carry light for others, quietly, humbly, without needing recognition. 3. You see life as a quest for inner alignment, not outer success. The rare personality does not measure life by traditional standards. Money, fame, recognition, these are often secondary or even irrelevant to you. Your goal is not applause but congruence. You want your outer life to reflect your inner truth, and when it does not, you feel a deep restlessness. This makes you allergic to inauthenticity. You can sense when you're betraying your values, even in small ways, and it creates a kind of spiritual tension within you. You're drawn to roles, relationships, and paths that feel aligned, even if they come with risk or sacrifice. Many people may not understand your choices. You might leave a high-paid job to pursue something more meaningful. You might end a friendship that others consider perfectly fine, but you feel is energetically hollow. You are not trying to be difficult. You are trying to be true. This kind of inner compass cannot be taught. It is not about morality or righteousness. It is about resonance. When your life feels out of tune with your soul, you feel it in your bones, and you are willing to recalibrate, even if it costs you stability, popularity, or comfort. 4. You often feel like both an old soul and a perpetual beginner. You carry a wisdom that seems beyond your years, as though your psyche remembers something ancient. You intuitively understand people, patterns, and ideas that others struggle to grasp. You can sit with someone's pain and say the exact thing their heart needed to hear, not because you learned it in a book, but because you've felt it yourself in some deep, indescribable way. Yet despite this inner wisdom, you are always learning, always questioning. You never assume you have the full answer, and you are skeptical of those who do. This creates a strange paradox. Others may look to you for guidance, yet you often feel like you're still discovering who you are. This humility is not weakness, it's a sign of maturity. You are not addicted to being right, you are devoted to being real. And so you keep evolving, shedding skins, letting go of old beliefs when they no longer serve your growth. You are always circling inward, closer and closer to the core of your true self. 5. You're naturally introspective, and solitude feels like nourishment. 6. You question systems, norms, and expectations instinctively, not rebelliously. 7. You see people not as categories but as evolving mysteries. 8. You often feel emotionally intense, yet spiritually detached at the same time. These final signs are not flaws or symptoms. They are invitations. They point to a type of person who lives life not on the surface, but in its depths. Someone who feels more than they can explain, sees more than they can prove, and values truth more than comfort. You pursue inner truth over external validation, even when it isolates you. This is not a choice you made for approval or identity, it is an orientation of the soul. From an early age, you may have felt detached from the values that others seemed to hold so tightly. While peers were chasing praise, achievement, or conformity, you were more interested in questions. What does this mean? What am I becoming? Is this real for me? The external world, with its applause and expectations, never quite held the power to steer you. You observed it, participated in it when necessary, but you always returned inward. That inward gaze was not escapism, it was exploration. You are driven by the need to understand your essence and live in accordance with it, no matter the cost. Because of this, you often find yourself misaligned with the crowd. You sense when something is false in a conversation, a job, a relationship, and even when everyone else embraces it, you feel compelled to step away. This can lead to loneliness, to being misunderstood, or even judged. But something within you values alignment with your inner self more than belonging. Your conscience is louder than social pressure. You walk away not out of arrogance, but because staying would fracture something sacred within you. You do not sacrifice your authenticity for comfort. Instead, you bear the discomfort of truth. This integrity is not loud or self-righteous. It is quiet, resolute, and deeply personal. Your decisions are guided less by what is rewarded and more by what feels right. You may reject titles, traditions, or roles that others aspire to if they do not resonate with your core. It is not that you cannot succeed in the conventional world, it is that you cannot betray yourself to do so. The feeling of selling out is unbearable to you, and because of this your life may look different, less polished on the outside, perhaps more uncertain, but inwardly there is a fire of clarity. You may not always know where you are going, but you know what you cannot follow. You have learned to let go of external validation, not because you don't long to be seen, but because you have learned that being seen without being understood is not enough. You confront your inner darkness to transform it, not to escape it. While most people are conditioned to avoid discomfort, you are drawn to understand it. Pain, fear, guilt, envy, these are not emotions you run from. Instead, they become signals, invitations to explore the parts of yourself that remain hidden or neglected. You are not afraid to admit that you have flaws, contradictions, and unhealed places. In fact, you see these aspects as essential to growth. The journey inward is not glamorous, it is often raw, confusing, and disorienting, but for you, it is necessary. You sense that true strength comes not from denying weakness, but from walking directly into it and learning how to hold it without judgment. This confrontation with darkness is not dramatic or self-indulgent. It is quiet and often done alone. You do not seek pity or validation for your inner battles. You seek clarity. You want to understand why certain patterns repeat, why certain wounds still ache, why parts of your life feel misaligned, and you do not settle for surface answers. You dig until you find the root, until the emotion speaks its name, and the unconscious becomes conscious. This process is not about control or perfection. It is about integration. You believe that healing happens when you bring light to what you once ignored. You refuse to compartmentalize your psyche into good and bad. Instead, you hold both in your awareness and allow them to coexist until transformation happens naturally, from within. This way of living requires immense courage. It is far easier to blame others, distract yourself, or seek comfort in illusions. But you know that anything avoided only grows in power. So you turn towards your shadows, not because you enjoy suffering, but because you trust that within the darkness lies something vital, a truth, a forgotten part of yourself, a strength that was buried. This work often goes unnoticed by others. There are no medals for confronting the parts of your personality that others pretend don't exist, but you do it anyway. You value depth over appearance, substance over performance. Your emotional honesty becomes a compass, guiding you toward integrity and wholeness. You choose transformation over denial, knowing that your power is found not in pretending you are whole, but in making yourself whole through awareness.